everyone. Welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Thursday, July the 5th, 2012, and there is quite a big buzz going on today in the scientific community, as just yesterday, a number of physicists have announced the discovery of a new particle, which they are claiming could potentially be the elusive so-called God particle, or the Higgs boson particle. And they just announced this yesterday. This comes after a number of experiments that scientists have been doing at the Large Hadron Collider. This is a machine that was developed to basically accelerate particles to the speed of light so that they can smash them into each other, essentially breaking it up into smaller pieces so that scientists can observe these smaller building blocks of life, essentially, and try to uncover some of the mysteries of the universe. So they have just announced the discovery of this new particle that has never ever been witnessed by humankind before, and this basically all ties into a theory that was presented over 40 years ago now, which suggests that all matter, all mass, and everything essentially is all around us in this thing referred to as the Higgs energy field, I guess you could call it. And the theory is that there are some particles that pass through this energy field unaffected, and the theory goes that there are others that pass through and attach to itself matter and mass, and essentially, in layman's term, basically it shows how something can be created from nothing. So for years now, decades, scientists have been trying to prove the theory of the origins of the universe and the Big Bang. The idea that humans evolved from this toxic sludge and it all came about from something being created out of nothing. But they've needed that missing link. They've needed this new discovery to be able to move a step closer to being able to essentially prove that. So they feel that they may have discovered that, and they've announced that yesterday. And the reason why that's such a big deal is because this is an attempt to try to explain away the idea of a creator, an omnipotent, all-powerful, intelligent designer who created all life on Earth and all matter and all things, and replace that and it's mankind's desire to elevate himself to the point of godlyhood and becoming the all-powerful divine creator. So it's definitely very interesting to pay attention to right now. I've been fascinated with quantum physics for quite some time. I found it very interesting that once scientists broke things down on the molecular level, they discovered that everything is moving, essentially. And even the things that appear not to be moving are actually moving. They're vibrating. And another interesting point is that anything that vibrates produces its own unique frequency. So this chair that I'm sitting on, this table that this laptop is on top of, are all, when you break it down on a molecular level, are all vibrating and therefore producing their own frequencies. So question is, how does humanity, what does this have to do with human beings and the nature of our relationship with all energy and matter? Well, it wasn't too long ago that a scientist in Japan, his name is Masaru Emoto, conducted a number of experiments with the element H2O, better known as water, and he discovered that water is actually the most receptive element in the world. It has the ability to, you can alter the genetic structure, if you will, of water with the slightest of frequencies. And it's very interesting that human beings, being made up of 80 or 90% water, whatever the number is, when you take that into consideration, this explains how even things like thought, because thought is also vibrating and producing its own unique frequency, And the fact that human beings are mostly made up of water explains why we can pick up on certain things, and it explains the power of positive thinking. Where you put that out there into the universe, you will attract similar things. You put out negativity, you will attract negativity, and this all plays into the fact that human beings are pretty much made up of water, and water has the ability to pick up on these frequencies, essentially. I mean, a lot of people have an experience with this where, for example, you could be in a room and somebody might enter the room who's in a bad mood, for instance, and you don't, that person doesn't even have to say anything. You might not even have to necessarily look at them, but you can pick up on that thought wave, if you will. We call it bad vibes. You know, we can feel it when there's bad vibes in the air. That is our physical bodies on a molecular level picking up on all these subtleties that are constantly going on all around us at all times. So it's very interesting, the discovery of this new particle. And as I said, I liken it to scientists trying to discredit the idea of a intelligent designer and a creator, and it's mankind's attempt to elevate himself to the point of being the divine, all-powerful gods who are have the power to create life, essentially. And that, I think, is one of the troubles that I have with this way of thinking, is that it can potentially lead to bad things, and we are now starting to see the manifestations of what this can lead to. For example, also yesterday, it was announced amongst the scientific community that scientists have now genetically modified babies and are essentially genetically altering the very genetic makeup of humanity. Here's an article just recently out from just Mail Online News. World's first GM babies born. The world's first genetically modified humans have been created, it was revealed last night. The disclosure that 30 healthy babies were born after a series of experiments in the United States provoked another furious debate about ethics. So far, 2 of the babies have been tested and have been found to contain genes from 3 parents. 15 of the children were born in the past 3 years as a result of one experimental program at the Institute for Reproductive Medicine and Science of St. Barnabas in New Jersey. The babies were born to women who had problems conceiving. Extra genes from a female donor were inserted into their eggs before they were fertilized in an attempt to enable them to conceive. Genetic fingerprint tests on 2 one-year-old children confirm that they have inherited DNA from 3 adults, 2 women and 1 man. The fact that the children have inherited these extra genes and incorporated them into their germline means that they will in turn be able to pass them on to their own offspring. Altering the human germline, in effect tinkering with the very makeup of our species, is a technique shunned by the vast majority of the world's scientists. Geneticists fear that one day this method could be used to create new races of humans with extra desired characteristics, such as strength or high intelligence. Writing in the journal Human Reproduction, the researchers led by fertility pioneer Professor Jacques Cohen say that this is the first case of human germline genetic modification resulting in normal, healthy children. Some experts severely criticized the experiments. Lord Winston of the Hammersmith Hospital in West London told the BBC yesterday, regarding the treatment of the infertile, there is no evidence that this technique is worth doing. I'm very surprised that it was even carried out at this stage. It would certainly not be allowed in Britain. John Smeaton, National Director of the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, said, "One has tremendous sympathy for couples who suffer infertility problems. But this seems to be a further illustration of the fact that the whole process of in vitro fertilization as a means of conceiving babies leads to babies being regarded as objects on a production line. It is a further and very worrying step down the wrong road for humanity. Professor Cohen and his colleagues diagnosed the women were infertile because they had defects in tiny structures in their egg cells called mitochondria. They took eggs from donors and, using a fine needle, sucked some of the internal material containing healthy mitochondria and injected it into the eggs from the women wanting to conceive. Because mitochondria contains genes, the babies resulted from the treatment have inherited DNA from both women. These genes can now be passed down the germline along the maternal line. A spokesman for the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority, which regulates assisted reproduction technology in Britain, said that this would not license the technique here because it involves altering the germline. Jacques Cohen is regarded as a brilliant but controversial scientist who has pushed the boundaries of assisted reproduction technologies. He developed a technique which allows infertile men to have their own children by injecting sperm DNA straight into the egg in the lab. Prior to this, only infertile women were able to conceive using IVF. Last year, Professor Cohen said that his expertise would allow him to clone children, a prospect treated with horror by the mainstream scientific community. So, as you can see, some of the manifestations of humankind elevating themselves to godhood and essentially becoming a so-called divine creator themselves is resulting in these horrific experiments on the human gene pool, and this could potentially lead down a very dark and scary path for the future of humanity. So this is just something I wanted to bring to your attention. I heard about the new particle discovery yesterday, and then at the same time I see this article about new genetically modified babies, and I just saw a bit of a connection there, so I wanted to bring it to your attention today. And that's all for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in once again, and I will see you all right back here tomorrow at pressfortruth.tv.